Trails of Cold Steel is part of a sub-series in a huge series of RPGs. I originally stumbled upon it trying to find something to scratch my Persona 4 itch, but what I got in return was a much more unique experience, and one that I greatly enjoyed for what it was. It's like trying to find a similar show to the one you just watched because you didn't get enough, but what you end up watching turns out to be way better in what it does itself. I've had a similar experience with the Danganronpa series, where I finished watching a playthrough of the third one, so I decided to play the second one to get more of what I watched. It quickly ended up becoming one of my favorite games of all time, and it was the most addicting thing to me ever. I played it day in and day out. But anyways, this game took me like a month to beat, so I better start talking about it already.
I'll be spending the next 2 years here. Wonder how long it'll be before I think of it as home. But yeah, I think I'm going to like it.
The game starts with Rin Schwarzer arriving at the academy he's attending. He's placed into Class 7, a special class comprised of both nobles and commoners.
All right! Students in red uniforms, if I can have your attention, please. Students in each year are divided into 5 classes, 2 for the nobility and 3 for commoners. And it's been that way for ages, right up through last year. But this year, we decided to shake things up a little.
What do you...
We now have a 6th class.
Do you expect me to be impressed? Your family lineage means nothing to me!
I'm sure a couple of you have a few grievances, but now's not the time. I'll hear your complaints later. Right now, you've got your orienteering exercise, and far be it from me to keep you from our fun little icebreaker. But I don't want to spoil the fun, so let's get started, shall we?
What?
The teacher shortly sends us into a dungeon below so we can work together as a class.
Oh, what just happened?
The floor gave out from under us.
I can't believe I fell for such an obvious trap.
Does this mean there's a series of catacombs beneath the school grounds then?
What does that woman think she's playing at?
I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. Hey, Rin, are you... okay?
Poor Rin. He probably gets into situations like this all the time, being the main character and all. Always walking into the wrong room at the wrong time. Must have a constant fear of stairs.
But if that's how you're gonna be, I'll just find my way out of here before you! I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself without some relic of an outdated class system dragging me down!
And you're welcome to join us as... well, I suppose that's a no. Perhaps we'll run into her along the way, and she can join us then. So, shall we be off? I'm certain you gentlemen will be fine, but do take care.
Okay.
Together with the rest of the guys in Class 7, we go into the training dungeon. We're thrown straight into the gameplay with nothing but a couple screens explaining the combat. The combat is simple enough though, and at this point we don't really have to do anything more than attack. Some attacks have areas and lines that you can connect with enemies. I really like lining it up to get that extra enemy. It feels like I'm hitting more enemies than I'm supposed to. Enemies aren't really mandatory, you can just walk around them if you want to avoid battling. Plus you can strike them from behind to paralyze them for a bit. This can lead to extra turns if you approach them when paralyzed. It's not hard to do, so attacking them from behind then initiating the battle is something you should be doing the whole game.
The name's Rin Schwarzer.
I'm Elliot Craig. It's nice to meet you.
My name is Gaius Warzel. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure's mine, I assure you. My name is Machias Regnitz. Could I ask you what social class you each belong?
Machias joins their party, but only after we're making sure we're not nobles. Don't worry, I'm sure by the end of the game he's gonna be the nicest character to the whole class, and ends up sacrificing himself for the greater good of the world. For such a repetitive looking dungeon, it's still got some charm to it. The game does this effect with the floors that I really like. It gives them a sort of sheen, which can really look nice for some floors.
When you look at it that way, your vitriolic disdain for the nobility suddenly seems rather cheap, wouldn't you say?
You son of a...
Magius, don't do it!
So far, Machias has been the one starting all these fights, so I really don't know who would reprimand Eustace at this point.
What was that?
There. The statue?
Ah!
Are monsters like this common in the Empire?
Not outside of old wives' tales, they aren't.
This thing's cutting off our only route to the surface. No choice. We have to fight it.
Right.
Finally, an opponent worthy of my skill.
Helios, help us!
After slaying the dragon, they all slowly agree to stay in Class 7. They all say that they're up for the challenge. Even Machias and Eustace come to an agreement.
I'm in! Come hell or high water!
Seeing them there, I feel they have the potential to be the light we seek. A light that can break through the storm clouds that continue to build over our nation day by day.
All right.
We get up early to go to school and recruited by Elliot. He's such a nice dude. Guy's just like talks about wind.
I go where the wind takes me.
I don't know, I think something's wrong with him.
Though, to be fair, I think that building was abandoned till this year. Seems like they renovated it just for us.
Well, they did a good job. It's got a nice feel to it. I just wish it were a little closer to the academy.
Hey, you're in our way. Step aside at once. Class 7, I see. You're just a ragtag bunch of nobodies, aren't you?
We're interrupted by Patrick. Poor dude has to be designed so that everyone hates him.
Now, the place where Emperor Dreikel's first began gathering his army was... Reen Schwarzer. Would you care to tell the class?
Geez, I don't know. I thought I'd be fighting monsters, saving the world. Before we're free to run the school fully, we gotta do something for the teacher. We end up getting roped into helping student council because Reen couldn't resist helping Toa.
If only I had a classy gentleman friend who'd go out drinking with me. But woe of woes, such a man is nary to be found.
Are you okay?
Reen,
Instead of trying to put everything in its place, why don't you just go with the flow for a change? It seems like you're desperately trying to find something. But if you don't plant yourself somewhere, you're just gonna blow away with the next big gust that comes along. And on that note, make sure you're back in the dorm by curfew and all transgressions will be forgiven. Toodles!
every night before your free day, you get to walk around the dorms if you want. This doesn't affect the gameplay or anything, but it's nice to walk around at night, catching up with your classmates, checking out how they decorate their rooms. And the music really sells that too. Oh yeah, we also have to hand out everyone's student notebooks as well. I really didn't want to talk to Machias, but I guess I have to. We get our tasks for the day in the mailbox. The ones in blue indicate that they aren't required. You could do them if you want extra items or you're like me and feel compelled to complete them for some reason. Each free day, a classmate might have an event that you can do. You'll spend time with them, and also level up your link level with them, which unlocks special things for combat. The school has tons of different clubs, so it's neat to walk around and check them out and talk with everyone. The view from the roof is really nice as well. The town also looks really nice with the trees overhead, and all the separate stores for buying different items. To advance time to noon, you need to investigate the old schoolhouse. It's a dungeon that uses the same assets as the first ones, though some things are added to keep it fresh. At the end, there's always a boss you'll have to fight, and these generally test your skills and understanding of the mechanics. Finally, I have someone I want to spend time with. I really wonder if anyone actually spends a point on Machias the first day. At this point, the player doesn't know anything more than what's shown so far, so I really don't know who would like this. So peaceful not having to deal with the class. I bet Reen probably takes up this offer every day because he can't stand being the protagonist for so long.
The special task you're about to be assigned is none other than a field study.
Field study?
Ah, yes, about that. As I said, you'll be split into 2 groups, A and B. Each of you, please come forward and take one of these to see how the groups have been divided and where each is being sent.
What?
Good thing those 2 aren't in our group. That'd be terrible. Well, I guess we're still in for some trouble.
I'm sure this is pretty awkward for her too, so I really want to say something, but when am I going to get the chance? Morning, Elisa.
Morning.
You're, early? You're in the lacrosse club, right? So I'm guessing you do have to deal with morning practice sometimes.
Yeah, twice a week, apparently.
I'm
really sorry. Why are you apologizing?
That's great. They did the thing where they apologize at the same time and awkwardly laugh it off. While riding to your next field study location, you get to chat with your group. They usually only talk about things relevant to where you're going though. What I really like is that you can play Blade. It's a fun little card game that you can play with anyone. They really didn't have to do this. They could have just had you been able to talk and that's it. So I really love that they added this in. And whenever Machias is in your group, you can beat him, so it's really great. I thought we were over this. We lapped it off. We get our quests for the day and head off. Celtic is our first field study location, and it's quite nice. The giant market in the middle of the town really stands out. It's a really cool way of switching up how shops are presented. It's a lot more fun checking them out because they all feel unique, even though they're selling the same basic items. The giant rye fields are nice as well with the windmills and everything. I get absolutely messed up by these wasps for some reason. It really goes to show how much the triple advantage helps, especially early on because you don't really know the mechanics all too well. Lore unlocks her special attack that are called S-crafts. I don't know why. You'd think it'd be some special moment, but I guess she really hates dogs or something. You can also fish in this game at certain points. Doing so will net you points that can later be traded to the fishing club's president for some items. The weird thing though is that you don't even need to wait for the exclamation mark to appear. Like usually if you press too early you'll just pull it out or something. But not here. You can mash all you want and you'll just stand there doing nothing until he eventually hooks a fish. But nonetheless, it's nice to just break out the fishing rod from time to time in new locations and take it easy from all the combat. One quest was to replace the lamp bulb. Thing is locked so you have to memorize the code. So I was trying my best to remember it, because I thought you'd have to input the code, but no, it's just multiple choice. That really bummed me out. We gotta stop these two from fighting because they both have permission for the same stall. Our mayor keeps having these problems because the guards don't want to help.
Reen?
What is it?
I was unsure whether to ask or not, but I've decided that this question bears answering. Why have you chosen to hold back?
What?
Whoa, he's been holding back his power this whole time? Lord must have figured out they can power up by screaming and turn his hair white. Turns out the guys from last night had both their stock stolen, so we decided to investigate the matter ourselves because the guards won't do anything about it.
Looks like the stolen goods are all here too.
We caught you red-handed.
Good thing we're a special class, or else we'd just be dead. End of story. And that's not even considering the giant monkey that appears, which I really didn't do well on. Elliot kept dying, it was just a real sad fight to watch. And to top it all off, if it weren't for the RMP showing up, they'd just be stuck in jail for the rest of the academy year or something. No more Toa and hot tea. But no Machias either.
Is there something else bothering you?
Oh, no. It's just... Well, we've been in the same class for a month now. And this whole time I've been kind of keeping you in the dark.
What do you mean?
You aren't referring to the issue regarding your swordsmanship, I take it?
No, it's not that. It's something I've been hiding from you all this time. Regarding my social class.
What?
Are you saying your family...
Yeah, I dodged the question when Machias asked. But technically I come from a family of nobles.
Machias is totally gonna freak out when he hears this. He's gonna start flipping desks.
Reen Schwarzer, can you tell the class what that new scientific breakthrough was?
Oh man. Oh, well, whoops.
Could they make it a little less obvious they're talking about us? I mean, seriously.
It stands to reason they'd be curious about our class. It's hard to blame them for that, at least.
Speaking of cooking, food in video games is something I've always loved, so it's great that this game also has cooking. Throughout the game, you can go around collecting recipes from talking to random NPCs, and at any time, you can whip your book out and start cooking. You can select someone in your party to help you, and they each have different dishes that they're really good at. If you find someone who can make the golden version of dishes, you'll usually get some really good bonuses. Potions don't ever have any kind of additional bonuses, so this is the only way to get buffs outside of spells and combat. It's just really cozy having to buy the ingredients required for a recipe, and hearing the voice line each character has when completing the dish.
Hope this turns out okay. This is my specialty.
Have I done something to upset you?
Not especially. It's actually my fault for being deceived so easily in the first place.
Machias is really mad that we lied about her status.
I'll see you later, Reen.
Take care.
And don't worry.
Huh?
I'm sure Machias doesn't hate you or anything. If you can find some way of making him realize how you feel, I'm sure he'll understand. It's just getting through to him that might be tough.
Yeah.
That's it. Machias I hate. No, I didn't go to Sarah to start talking about Machias. It's the last thing on my mind right now. In the library, there's full-on books you can read. There's a lot of them, so it's a good thing the ones needed for class are automatically put on the shelf here. Imagine having to search the whole library just to find a certain book. A neat little feature along with the recipes is that you can also collect books. You can actually read them anytime in your booklet, and from what I've skimmed through, they're full-on stories. so it's a cool little thing to go around collecting them if you're into that sort of thing. Good thing I just touched up on my studies. Starting with an easy one. Reen, I had to rack my brain for that. Don't just say it was easy. If I didn't know the answer to that question, his mom would have thrown me straight out the door. Every time your party changes, the game automatically unequips your weapons from them. This is because you can't access members that aren't in your current group, but it means having to re-equip everything. One thing that kinda sucks is that you never really get to make your ideal party. And even if you do, it's not for very long like the old schoolhouse. It's nice that the game wants you to get familiar with your group, and you have to figure out how best to utilize them, but it still disappoints me a bit. I guess without this though, the whole story would be impossible to write, and any character you didn't care about wouldn't get any development at all. It makes the group announcements really suspenseful.
Ah, we have the same score. Let's draw again. Ah, we have the same score. Let's draw again. Ah, we have the same score. Let's draw. Ah, we have the same. Ah, we have the same. Ah, we have the same. Ah, we have the. Ah, we have the same.
It looks as though I win this time.
Man, that was the scariest thing in the whole world. Boreahard, our second field study location, is quite large compared to the previous one. I like all the different shops it has, especially this restaurant that we eat at later on. Touring around Boreahard really shows how nice Eustace actually is. He seems to get along great with anyone we talk to in his hometown. It really shows how terrible Marcus really is. The canyons on this side of town are really nice, with all the giant crevices and the bridges over top.
Asinine little... Why can't you see that all of this is born from your own prejudice and narrow-mindedness?
That's enough!
Please, calm down.
Stay out of this! This is our problem!
Why don't we settle this once and for all? Let me show you how much better than you I really am.
Reen gets hit and has to step out of the active party for a bit. They finally stop fighting though because they feel responsible for what happened. Reen and Eustace can't get to sleep, so we get to learn more about Eustace and his family. It's supposed to be a real personal scene, but Machias here is pretending to be asleep. This is like when the character tells his feelings to the person because they're asleep, but it turns out they're wide awake. Who does that? Are they insomniacs? You know, this manga captures a vibe that I really love. Them being insomniacs really closes the distance between them as they fool around at night, because no one else is awake but them. The main dude's slowly learning photography and wanting to get it right, time after being told that his photos are terrible by his second-year club member, and that he's lacking in every aspect, but he still never gets discouraged by it. All the locations are drawn greatly too, and have a great atmosphere to them, like the arcade the second year works at. So yeah, Insomniacs After School is definitely great. Anyways, Machias gets arrested. I really like the camera angle here. There's just something about the composition that I really like. Something about it has this really old style to it, like something you'd see in a pre-rendered game like Final Fantasy VII. Since they can only choose a single angle for some areas, they have to make sure it's framed perfectly so everything can be conveyed to the player. And it's just a lot more interesting than a simple flat shot. There are some other shots that capture this feeling in the game as well, so it's not just limited to this one. We gotta go save Machias without Eustace's help, since he was summoned to his family's mansion earlier. We use the underground waterway, because it supposedly connects to every place in the city. It's a nice place with all the blues. These bug things are terrible. They knock most members down in one hit, so you gotta use an item to pick them back up, which uses a turn. They also deal quite a lot of damage, so they're a real pain. We get to know more about Fee here as well, and why she carries explosives everywhere. Turns out that she was originally from a Jaeger group, the best of the best mercenaries before enrolling at Thor's. We're just committing crimes now. Man, it's a real good thing that we're a special class. This battle really cements that the best effect is when you remove delays. Most enemies aren't resistant to this, so you can just keep skipping their turns until you eventually kill them. And there's no limit to it either. It took me over half the game though to figure out what was causing their turns to be skipped, even though it's literally right there. I don't like how after a strong opponent, they act all tired and worn out. Like, man, wasn't that such a hard and exhausting battle? No, it wasn't. I was twiddling analog sticks and pressing buttons on a controller. It's especially weird when they only get hit like once and they act all tired out. Man, that battle was tough.
Lord Rufus? Lord Rufus!
I really like how that soldier delivers that line. Sharon finally makes her debut. She's Lisa's maid, and she decides to work at the dormitory for the time being. For all the side quests, it's nice that they change it around so much. Having only fetch quests would get boring real fast, so adding in things like this is nice. Even if it's just a multiple choice question in the end, it's more about how it develops the characters. Patrick comes to teach us a lesson because our class scored the highest average mark overall. He's real annoying about it too. I finally finished picking my party, and then he says he doesn't want to fight against women, so I have to take out my healer and swap them with Eustace. But he doesn't want to fight him either, so I'm forced to use some of my least used characters. I still win in the end, but it was still annoying. Our third field study location is the Nord Highlands, and this is where the game really switches up the environment. The area is gigantic, so to compensate, you're given a horse that can get on and off on at any time. It's a really nice region, probably my favorite in the whole game. When you wake up in the morning, everything has this nice blue tint applied to it. It's real nice. Though this region does show off a problem I have with the game. The game often has these long areas that you have to walk through when doing quests for your field studies. It's nice to see them for the first time, and I don't especially mind going back in to do another quest, but you're forced to walk back every time. The Nord Highlands are especially huge, so this little area here with this hill takes forever to get around and it's pretty annoying. You can already fast travel into towns and stuff, so just being able to fast travel back to the start of an area would help immensely. You don't need to be able to teleport around the area, just back to the start so I don't have to walk all the way back. Thankfully, the game has a high speed skip button that's enabled by default. The game didn't originally have this on PS3, so it's really nice to be able to speed up the long walking times. It was probably intended more for combat so you could get through battles quicker, but this is what I mainly used it for. The great thing is that it doesn't speed up the music or mess with any of the sound effects either. The only other time I used it was when I wanted a clean restart in a battle. Being able to speed up dying to redo a battle because of some wrong moves is a real time saver. I wish this button didn't show up as soon as you died once though. It makes me feel like I'm really bad at the game. At least make it show up if you've died twice, cause at that point maybe you really do need the help. But I'm scared I might accidentally press it and like permanently switch the game to super easy and I'll hate myself for the rest of the game. This area with the giant waterfall, along with this log cabin by the lake are especially nice. Whoever lives here must be living the dream. Wow, I'm surprised Reen actually admitted that, and in blush while denying it profusely. We get to know more about Lisa's past and her family. We also learn a bit about Reen's as well. The stars being in full view really adds to the scene, it's nice.
Hey, guys? This is a really beautiful place.
Yeah. Ain't it?
We have to figure out who attacked these two fortresses, or else a war might break out between the two sides. We actually meet Milliam for the first time here, and she shortly joins the party to help find the terrorists.
Where you come from? Who are these kids?
Thor's Military Academy, Class 7. And you're under arrest on suspicion of an unprovoked attack on both the Imperial Watchtower and Republican Army base.
This was quite a fun battle. It takes almost all your power to take down Gideon and his crew. So when he ends up summoning the giant spider, you really have to think about how you're going to get through this with your already spent party.
In fact, CPR is a pretty vital skill on any battlefield. Reen, Elisa, would you care to give us a demonstration?
Regan, watch out. They're gonna get a leg cramp while swimming and drown. They throw in the swimming minigame as a nice change of pace. It's much harder than it looks, and I'm pretty good at rhythm games. With them lined up like that, it really gets me thinking. I really like how the models are designed in this game. They have these sharp edges, but still retain every detail needed, while the textures do the heavy lifting in terms of the small and more complex details. Man, it's like Romeo and Juliet. You know, Boarding School Juliet is a real solid manga. I went in thinking that it'd just be the same old formula, and it kind of is, but what it does well. There's some actual funny moments, and throughout the whole thing it's just got a real fun vibe to it. And there's no guy that shows up halfway through to ruin the whole thing. The ending was good too, and the art is really nice as well. It's definitely one of the best in the genre, taking the simple Romeo and Juliet story and flipping it on its head. Anyways, we learn that Reen's got a little sister. He wrote a letter to her about family stuff, and they end up fighting because of it.
Yes? Reen is my older brother.
Why does she have to be related to that cretin? But wait, he was adopted. That means they aren't related by blood.
Oh no, Reen. You know, say what you want, but only few shows have kept me up throughout the entire night.
Patrick!
You?
Where's Elise? You better not have tried to pick a fight with her and scared her off.
I feel pretty bad for Patrick here. He's getting yelled at and picked up by Reen. I mean, maybe any other time I wouldn't mind this, but poor Patrick here is just trying to help.
Elise!
I know this reveal's supposed to be epic and all, but he just deals normal amounts of damage. And I didn't have my S-Craft ready either, so it was probably really anticlimactic for Crow. We arrive in Heimerdal, our fourth field study location. It It's divided up into different sectors, each with their own feel to them. Elliot lives on this nice street overlooking the railway, while Machias lives in a more secluded housing sector. I don't like this framing. They look awkward standing there so close. If they sat down, the shot would have had to have been really wide, but at least have them hold on to like handles or something. It's even worse with Machias. He's got his hands on his hips, really letting it out. There's this quest where you have to find a replacement record for this old guy that one of his buddies really likes. When you complete the quest and give him the record, the music in the shop changes. They didn't have to add such a small detail, but I really love that they did. It was a real nice touch, so I let it play while I went to go get a snack. That made me sad. I really wanted to bet all my mirror away, but I guess we are students, so no extra minigames. We meet Elliot's old friends and then later learn about his past. He originally wanted to go to the same music school as him, but his father wouldn't let him. Thor's Military Academy had the best music program out of all the military schools, so that's why he enrolled into the school. Laura and Fee decide to settle the differences with a duel. Fee loses, so she ends up talking about her past. They then end up as best buds. Man, Reen really doesn't care where he's fishing. He's going all out in front of this couple in the park. Must be super romantic for them. We finally learn as to why Machias hates nobles so much. Something about his sister marrying a noble, and it not working out because of his family. This is the point where we're probably supposed to forgive how Machias acted before and start to like him as a character. But I don't know, apart from him hating nobles, there isn't much else going on about him. And he's still terrible in combat. There's this whole questline about a guy named Phantom Thief B. He's still quite the pricey tiara, so the group has to search for him. While I did enjoy deciphering the riddles and searching around the areas for his cards, he's built up like this really important character. But he just disappears after this for the rest of the game. And it's not like this questline's the only time he appears in the game. He's been teased throughout the entire game, so it's kinda weird that he just disappears like that. We all gather at the school that Reen's sister goes to, and we meet Princess Alphen and Prince Oliver. We learn that he's the one that proposed that Class 7 should be made. Reen's sister also gets jealous because Alphen wants to dance with him. We're told that the Imperial Liberation Front might be planning something, so we're supposed to scout around for anything that looks suspicious. I wonder where they could come from.
Good day, Your Excellency.
I fully expected them to come out of the gazebo. Just walk over to the garden. They showed it quite a lot, so I thought it was supposed to be important. So when they blew a hole in the floor, that actually surprised me. We follow them and have to fight a dragon that Gideon summons with his flute. The Imperial Liberation Front looks okay. C's helmet, though, is pretty cool, with its red shiny visor. Tro and Millium end up joining our class. Tro's gotta be one of the strongest characters in the game. He has a huge delay move, and can inflict random debuffs or buffs on anyone. Paired with the Master Quartz that I gave him, he became pretty unstoppable. His personality is great too. He really doesn't hold back his thoughts, and says what Reen can't. Plus, he's got the sickest end screen animation. It's timed so it always ends perfectly with a fade out. For this one quest, we're asked by the Occult Club's president to investigate the mysteries of the Academy. One of the mysteries is about a haunted piano. How many haunted pianos are there? There's always the rumor of you can hear someone playing the piano at night, but when you look into the room, nobody's there. Then the group goes to investigate the validity of it. I always love stuff like that. Whenever there's like a group trip episode, and they go to like an onsen or something, like ping pong and drink milk, I always hope there's like a haunted building next door, then they go get scared to death checking it out. The whole test of courage thing is one of my favorite things. But I'm not talking about when there's like a group pairing and they luckily get paired up, then they get all close because they're scared or something. No, that stuff's lame. It's never actually scary, so it ends up just being funny instead. It's like playing a horror game with friends. No, Ree, not another one of these. After investigating the old schoolhouse for the day, it starts to rain. I like how Reen holds his little umbrella. Rainy days in video games are always really nice and cozy.
Huh?
Wakey wakey!
Yeah, that's not how it goes. Our 5th field study location is a gram. I really like the whole place being covered in fog. It makes the giant castle looming over the lake look really cool. It does clear up the next day so you can get a real good look at everything. It definitely has one of the best fishing spots. The town's got a bracer guild, and this is where we get our quests for the day. When you talk to this innkeeper, he tells you can take the boat out on the lake for free, but no matter what you do, you can't. This whole area is kinda weird. You'd think there'd be a fishing spot here, but there isn't. You can end up doing a quest later about golden salmon that are supposedly around in this area. I thought this is where you'd be able to take the boat out. Like, oh, that makes sense. But you just end up finding them in some river out back. I imagine being able to use the boat though. It would have looked real cool with all the fog and stuff. Then maybe some like giant dark shadow swims under your boat or something. Reen wants to confront himself, so he ends up dueling Laura's father. You're supposed to lose this fight though, so I ended up using these potions for nothing. Some kids take a boat out to the castle to check it out, and they still haven't returned yet, so the group decides to check it out. The castle starts to glow after the bell rings. It looks really cool with the night sky and the town in the distance. You know, the text in this game is kind of blurry. A lot of older JRPGs and stuff don't have text that's very sharp either, and I don't know if it's just me, but I really like how it's like that. There's actually an option to sharpen the text, but I don't know, something just feels wrong not having it blurry. There's actually quite a bit of graphic options here. One thing I've noticed is that when you use ambient occlusion, it messes up some of the tricks that the game uses. What I mean is things like the doors, for example. You're not supposed to see that, it's just a small white box, so the effect is broken when it shades the corners and gives it dimension. We get to meet Elliot's dad for the first time, and get to watch a military drill. I really like how the new and improved tank model gets shot instantly. The Imperial Liberation Front invaded the fortress, and are trying to fire the railway guns. I skipped it in the intro, but this game actually starts with a sequence similar to this. The game cuts right after one of the guns fire, and that's where I started. I didn't think it was very necessary for the intro. It's supposed to hook me in, but it annoys me instead since I have to spend the game in the past waiting until we arrive at that point that was shown in the intro. It turns out that the first round was a blank, but now we're able to stop them before they fire a real round. You'd think giant railguns would have an insane amount of security, but I guess not.
That should be everything.
I really like this scene. Helping Toa at night and getting to chat for a bit.
Alright. Do you have some free time tomorrow evening? If you can't come until after you're done exploring the old schoolhouse, that's okay with me.
Tomorrow evening? Yeah, I should be free. Should I meet you in the student council room?
Oh no. Can you go to the computer room in the main school building?
Sure thing.
I thought this was going to be a lighthearted event. This came out of nowhere.
Wow.
Isn't it cool? It's called Rock.
The class ends up deciding to do a concert for the school festival after seeing the video. The class gets picked up by Prince Oliver and his airship. You can just walk around and chat, but it's a nice change of pace from the train. Our group gets dropped off at the 6th field study location, Ruhr. It looks pretty nice. I especially like the school here with the trees, and it's got a working escalator which is pretty cool. We meet Elisa's mom again, and she says she'll be joining us for dinner. It's really clear now that they don't get along very well. I like these little models displayed on the bottom floor of the Reinford building. Most of them are just models scaled down, but I really like them. Being able to clip my camera inside and see the details. This ship here is especially interesting. There's a lot of detail, so I thought it'd be an area later in the game, especially because the doors here have the white areas behind them, but I guess not. We get to stay in the Rhineford building's penthouse. I really like how it's more detailed than the usual lodging place. It's fine for those places to not be overly detailed, because they're not supposed to be inside the whole time. You're supposed to be out and about doing quests. But having a more detailed place to stay is real cozy, so I really like it. Man, I really like Sharon as a character. Her voice is great too, it really matches her design.
Not to worry, Master Rean. Your secret's safe with me. So enjoy your night to the fullest.
Wait, have you been trailing me ever since I left the penthouse?
Well, I saw you slip out.
We get to spend time with Fee just walking around town. I really like the nighttime versions of each area. It makes me wish they allowed you to walk around them more often. They've shown plenty of the areas at night in cutscenes, so it's not like they don't have them either.
She saw me leaving, but she just let me go.
Even the best maids aren't that all-knowing.
I wish you the best with the remainder of your field study. Please have the bill sent to the Railway Military Police Branch Office in Ruhr Station.
Certainly. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Wait! The bill!
Looks like she just picked up our tab. She gave us some good intel, too. For free, even.
I can't just go running after her now. Looks like we owe her one.
So, you like the mature type, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. We can't enter the mine from the front entrance, so we have to get Elisa's mom to give us a key to a secret tunnel that connects to the mine. We lose Crow halfway through the mine, which really sucks.
So this is the guy, huh?
This is the first time I've actually seen him.
Comrade S has already boarded the ocean. I shall buy you the time to join her.
Fine. Chalk this one up as my loss.
This was a pretty hard battle. Both V and C can't be delayed, so you have to be constantly healing and buffing your allies to get through it.
They're getting away!
Damn!
Farewell for now.
The ship the Imperial Liberation Front are escaping on gets absolutely destroyed, so we can rest easy for the upcoming school festival.
I think we landed on a pretty nice design in the end. They're a little revealing, but that doesn't seem like something that'd bother you too much.
Not unless it's completely ridiculous. Seems like you'd be more interested in Emma and Elisa anyway.
Hey, really, come on.
Without further ado, I hereby declare the 127th Thor's Military Academy Festival open!
With the Academy Festival, you get 6 tickets to use on different class attractions. Once you choose the one you want to do, you can pick anyone to join you. I think this is the coolest thing ever. Getting to unwind from all the story and action, and just fool around. They may not be the most complex things ever, but I still love that they went through the effort of putting so many in. All they did for this one was limit you to walking, but it really does change up the pace and feel different. And getting to spend time with the character you want is great too. Even for this one, the only thing apart from dialogue is you get to pick a fortune, but nonetheless I still liked it. All the small details are great too. You got all the food stalls and stuff. It's just a really awesome segment. It's a real reward for getting through all the battles so far. I also like that Sharon shows up as the Blade Master for this class's attraction. The old schoolhouse starts to glow, and Class 7 decides to check it out or else the second day of the festival will be cancelled. This place definitely has the feeling of a last dungeon. You get tons of strong quartz, and the whole thing is pretty long with lots of enemies, so it's pretty difficult as well. There's these giant rock golems that were super hard to beat. The only way I could beat them was using S-crafts because they were basically resistant to everything. In the end, I just ended up walking past and avoiding the rest of them. I like this area's design with all the swords sticking out in the grey ground. Boss's design is pretty cool as well with all the swirling textures and the slight blue face. After we defeat the boss, we wake up and discover that there was a mech hidden here the whole time. Since the second day wasn't cancelled, Rin spends the morning with his sister.
Schwarzer, what are you doing? What problem could you possibly have with my taking this chance to foster good relations between our families?
See, that's all well and good, but Elise hasn't made her debut into high society quite yet.
Yeah, Rin, you look real intimidating with that stuffed character on your arm.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. Next, our Academy's very first Class 7 is proud to present a concert.
I like how they have a duet together. I bet they're singing about something really cheesy, like putting their differences aside. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't actually create songs for the concert, but the whole thing's animated, so I guess that's more than enough.
Pulling that third song out of nowhere is hardly what I'd call fair play. You even had me singing along.
Elliot, Crow, I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for us.
Damn, man. Is making people feel awkward a hobby of yours or something?
Aw, it's no big deal.
Oh, yeah. Guess it's about time I gave you this back.
Isn't this...
I like this whole scene with Crow. When he tosses the coin back, my mind was blown. It was like, whoa, that's the coin from the start of the game.
Oh, by the way, you know there was interest on this, right? How much do you suppose you really owe me after half a year? To be honest, it feels kind of lonely to think that everything between us is completely settled and done with. So, what do you say? You still owe me?
You get to choose a classmate to dance with depending on your link level with them. Basically, all the events you've done before with the character accumulate into this final special cutscene. One thing I don't really understand is why Elise had so many scenes with Rin. It's weird seeing all these fanservice-y moments for a character that the player might not want to go for, like me. And this goes on through the whole game. I've done every single event with Fie and she's still doing stuff like this. I guess they're just supposed to be the canon couple of the game, but I just found her kind of uninteresting. And she rivals Makias with how terrible she is at combat. Maybe it's her master quartz or something, but none of her attacks do anything. And none of them cause delay either. I checked the Steam achievements though, and she's ranked the highest for who was romanced, so maybe I'm just the odd one out. It's no surprise though that Makias was the least chosen to be danced with though. Chancellor Osborne is set to give a speech soon, so we have to go find Milliam and Crow. We eventually find Milliam, but we can't find Crow anywhere, and when we check his room it's all empty.
Thus, in the name of the Emperor, and as the representative of the Imperial Government, I hereby proclaim
Go finish your speech in hell.
well played, Armbrust.
Hands in the air!
It really was you all along. To think, all the time we spent searching for the leader of the Imperial Liberation Front, and he was right under our noses.
The twist of C being Crow really caught me off guard. He really was with us for almost half the game, and it never occurred to me that it could be him. It gives the scene of Rin and Crow talking some real impact behind it. The school is under attack by the Imperial Liberation Front, so Class 7 decides to go help the teachers fight against the mechs.
Oh, did you miss me? I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to play mine. But I hope you haven't forgotten that I owe you for getting in my way at Corellia Fortress. You managed to be one soul once, but once is just luck. Let's see how you fare against a Spiegel.
Since the mech is immune to everything, You really have to keep healing or else you'll get destroyed. It's a good thing that Million can protect party members from a single physical attack. It definitely made this fight much easier. Her mech becomes immune to normal attacks, so when Breen finally gets control of his own mech, I feel real powerful being able to just deal massive amounts of damage like that. And even though the mech combat isn't very deep, it's a cool set piece, that's for sure.
Crow! Are you really in there?
Sure am. Long time no see, Reed.
Friendship with Toa and Angelica and George? You seriously want me to believe that all of that was just a lie? That our hanging out, our field studies, even our concert meant nothing to you?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. You've been piloting a divine knight for one day. I've been using mine for 3 years. Did you think I wouldn't have the trump card to play?
Immediate tactical retreat is advised.
That voice! Are you Valimar?
So you've gathered enough power, have you? Well, we may have lost this battle, but at least we'll live to fight another day. All right, get us out of here. As far away in Erebonia as you can take us.
Command acknowledged. Charting course.
Wait, no! That's my call to make!
Class 7 decides to back up Breen's mech so it can retreat. They know it's their only real advantage when it comes to winning the battle against the Imperial Liberation Front.
They need me! Let me stay!
And that's the end of the game, which sets up the plot for the direct sequel. As soon as I saw the mech, I was kinda hoping for this type of ending. I think the idea of getting the band back together is a real cool idea for a sequel. Your clear data can also be used for some special things in the sequel. I really like how the main menu changes to reflect how far you've gotten into the game, and the people you've gotten to know. After beating the game, you get this final change with all the characters together, and the flower petals falling outside. It's really nice. I didn't know originally if the game would have a full-on end, so being able to spend more time with the characters is something I'm definitely looking forward to as soon as this video is done. It does make me a little sad though that I won't be able to play with Crow in my party though. It took me like a month to beat this, which surprises me that it took that long. I played it basically every day, so the past month of my life has been infused with this game. Its gameplay loop has been completely ingrained in my head, and it really shows how good of a loop it is. Going on a field study, getting involved into something bigger, then taking a break after is really nice. I looked forward to seeing every single location, and finally being able to spend time with Fee after. All the other mechanics and little things incorporated into the game like fishing and cooking made it that much better. It really livened up my playthrough. There's a lot of fun and great moments that I wanted to convey. This video did completely cover the entire game, but I think it's okay, since if you're at all interested in the game, there's the direct sequel that you can pick up for like $20 on sale. I didn't play the sequel yet, but when I finally finish this video, I can kick back and see how the story really ends myself.